I know that this is definitely not going to be a popular opinion, but I think that men and boys going forward, young men, need to really protect themselves from a lot of these females out here. Getting married is very risky. First off, let me tell you something right now. Marriage is the best way to raise children. Unfortunately, in this society of America, people are highly selfish on both sides, immature, and it's almost it's we're to the point where marriage doesn't really mean much. Okay, it really doesn't mean much. Um, and people don't take marriage very serious. Um, when half of the population is getting divorced, or they allow people with mental illnesses to get married. That's my that's my own personal opinion on people of the same gender getting married. It obviously goes against the Bible. Um, and it's like a marriage license is allowing the government into your life, and if you can't figure it out yourself, then they got to get involved, and this whole thing, with when you get divorced for men can really get dragged over the coals. I mean, women can too, and I think more women going forward will get dragged over the coals because women are making more money. And this video is not just for men. We're in a transition period where a lot of women are going to be the breadwinners going forward, and they're gonna have to understand where things are at and where their expectations are at, and this whole status of somebody being what their job is, that is old school thinking, and that needs to go out the window. Because if you label yourself to what your job is, and that's your whole value and your worth, um, I mean, that's cool, you can do that, but to do that with other people without understanding where they're coming from, and what they bring to the table besides that, you're really setting yourself short. So, yes, what I would say, this is for a lot of boys and men, but definitely women going forward too, because like I said, you guys are gonna be making all the money, you guys are gonna be paying all the taxes, pretty much, because that's what you want. You guys value careers, and and you're gonna see too when you come. What I think a lot of females. I think the best thing for you to do is realize, like, you women that are alpha males, alpha females, pretty much want to be alpha males. You're so strong, you're so independent. You don't need a man for nothing, and you need to realize, like, you're the man now. Okay, and I don't blame women for not trusting a lot of these men out here with their frame, because I, for one, have had a pretty terrible frame in my past. Um, so I don't blame women for that, because a lot of guys out here are highly immature. So just people in general, honestly. What I would say going forward, is when you if you want to go into this marriage, and I would try to keep the marriage license out of it, but obviously there's different laws where if you get married, and I forgot what it's called, but like after someone not married, if you're living with somebody for so many years, then you're kind of like legally married. What I would say before you go into anything like this, where you're living with someone, or gonna get married, I would say do not disclose all your assets to them. If you have assets before that marriage, do not disclose all those assets. And in fact, I would do everything I possibly could to hide those assets because it's none of their business. This was your life before them, and you're not obligated to. They're not obligated to have a piece of that unless you want to. Like for me, if Bitcoin does not go to zero and it continues to go up higher and higher, and I don't have any reason to ever get married again. But if a woman was going to live with me, I would just send my Bitcoin to my kids. That's what I would do. They're not getting all my she's not getting my wealth. And you know, she should have her own wealth, right? Um a good thing to do if you're I would get land, right? Before you go into something like this, I would get land and I would just get like a bunch of silver or gold and just bury it. Get some land and bury it on that land. That's what I would do. Literally bury your wealth before you go into some kind of relationship. If you got serious wealth, I mean, if you got a couple $1,000 or 10, I'm talking about like if you have $100,000 to like $1 million, I would not keep it in a bank. You know, you definitely want to have some assets, right? But I'm just saying you need to protect yourself because why does this person deserve half of your stuff when they weren't in your life and you've already accumulated this stuff? Why would in 5 years if Bitcoin's $1 million and I get married and then she or like somebody starts living with me and then like the state recognizes her as my spouse and she decides to leave and then the state wants to let her have half of my stuff. How is that fair to my kids? Like what did she do to get these assets? I'm talking about people that have had assets before they get married. Like you need to protect and be creative. You can put things in different people's names too. If you trust these people, if you got trustworthy people, you know, the whole point the whole point to having kids is not to rely on them when you're old is you and this is where the baby boomers has screwed us big time is you want to leave them with wealth. You want to leave things better um than the way you found it. And you know, take, like our national debt. The baby boomers have left it on Gen X and Gen Z and the millennials to pay that. They're not going to have to worry about that. They're going to be dead soon. In like a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, whatever. And then we're going to have to pay that. They're going to be on Social Security. They're not going to have to pay taxes on that. So my whole thing is, if you acquired wealth, find out ways to hide this wealth. And don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody. You can take your Bitcoin. This is why I like Bitcoin a lot. And you can put it on a hard wallet. And you can do something with that. No one knows you have it. But the whole thing is like, with Bitcoin is like, it can be found. Like it's all on the internet. And that's why people say, "Oh, well, if you do things if you're a criminal, you can do bad things." Well, whatever transactions you do, it can be found online, and that's why getting gold, getting silver. I gambled and my assets are gone. Doing that before you get into a serious relationship or a marriage with somebody. You don't have to put all your assets, and you can your partner was something, right? If they stay with you. But I'm just saying, like, you can build together, and that's how it should go, you know. But I don't agree with like these athletes having to, or these rich people having to pay these huge amounts of alimony or child support. You know, if the woman does not want to be, or the man does not want to be with that person no more, they should not get that huge amount of money. They should live a very humble life. They, you know, I just don't understand why judges do this. Unless they've lived with each other for like, I get the whole point of like living with each other for like 20 years, and then, you know, that person didn't, the breadwinner didn't have nothing, and they built that life together, and then she gets half, I get that, or he gets half, I get that, but not this continuously getting alimony, funding this extravagant lifestyle. You know, it's like there's she should lose a lot, you know. Like, she shouldn't continue to get money from this guy. She shouldn't continue to, you know, be living high on the hog, you know. Yeah, if she got half of his stuff, she shouldn't be having continuously like his money coming in, you know what I mean? And that, I think that there's a lot of things that are unfair about our justice system, and this is why I think that a lot of people aren't going to get married in the future and right now, or having kids, is because the government's just too involved in our lives, and they just won't get out of our lives. And people are mature, they can't figure things out on their own, you know. And you know, they fight, and then they gotta have these lawyers, and instead of like being like, listen, apologizing and really meaning it to your spouse, you know, if you cheated on them, or did something stupid, like really apologize, and trying to, you know, maybe it's not going to work out, but you know, you hear them make tell like, oh, my wife took everything. Well, why did she take everything? Why did you end up with somebody like that? Like, that was your choice. And maybe she wouldn't have like, what did you do for her to want to take everything, for her to want to be that vicious? Like, you had to have done something. um Maybe you didn't live up to what she thought you were going to be. Maybe you know, you let her down. I don't know, but you did something really dumb. Usually people will not do that unless they like unless they're not that good of a person to really pin you down, you know. And you should have seen these red flags, so it's your fault too, you know. The whole thing with a lot of people is they don't think logically, they think emotionally, especially these guys. And I like a lot of what MGTOW has to say, but there's some things, it's just, there's a lot of truth what they say, but it's like, what did you do though, man? What did these guys do? You know, like, it's not all one person why a relationship fails. It's on both. And one person can do most of the damage, but you know, why did you ignore those red flags and bring these people into your life? That person into your life.